How Andrew Mountbatten Windsor became the monarchy's worst nightmare. On February 19, 2026, the British royal family faced a major event in its recent history. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, who was previously known as Prince Andrew, Duke of York, was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. This arrest followed years of scandal regarding his connection with convicted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. In late 2025, King Charles had already removed all of Andrew's royal titles and honors amid growing concerns. The arrest was not completely unexpected for those following the situation closely. However, it surprised many how quickly it damaged the royal family's carefully curated image of unity. For the first time, the monarchy's approval ratings dropped below 50%, a troubling sign that palace insiders confirmed caught attention. Charles knew more than he let on, and the whole family has been covering this up. They are all complicit, from the top down, a royal insider told Radar Online in March 2026. This claim, although unverified, raised an ongoing question. What did Charles know, and when did he know it? After the arrest, Buckingham Palace released a statement from the king. What now follows is the full, fair, and proper process by which this issue is investigated in the appropriate manner and by the appropriate authorities. The law must take its course. The language was careful and deliberate. However, sources described a king who was emotionally devastated. A former palace courtier told the Royal Observer that the Andrew Epstein scandal deeply affected Charles, leaving him emotionally exhausted. This stress was compounded by his battle with cancer, creating a difficult situation. Royal writer Russell Myers, author of William and Catherine, reported that William had long urged for Andrew's removal, warning that Andrew must be banished before the rot sets in. It turned out that William's concerns were valid. Andrew's arrest not only marked the end of his role in the royal story, but it also began a new, darker chapter. The institution now faced tough questions about complicity, silence, and the cost of protecting the family name above all else. The howls of rage around a queen who said too much and too little. Queen Camilla is in a difficult situation, caught in a web of her own making or circumstances beyond her control. For many years, she has supported survivors of violence against women and girls. This cause defines her role as queen. She wears badges that say, "Shame must change sides," and tells survivors, "You are not alone." However, in February 2026, a reporter from ITV News asked her on a London street if the royal family would help with the Epstein investigation, and if she had a message for Epstein's victims. Camilla entered a building without responding. This silence led to a significant backlash after she made a high-profile speech on International Women's Day about supporting assault survivors. People were angered by her speech. Many felt it was ironic that she would not address her brother-in-law's connections to a known sex trafficker. Camilla's silence on the Epstein case, compared to her vocal support for survivors, created a public contradiction that was hard to ignore. Reports also surfaced about Prince William. According to Radar Online, he allegedly told Camilla to avoid Sarah Ferguson, Andrew's ex-wife, who had also been linked to the Epstein files. An insider shared that William believes the only safe choice is to distance themselves completely from Ferguson and Andrew. This decision reportedly caused tension between William and Charles, with some suggesting William had gone too far by giving orders to the Queen. Camilla's situation is complex. She worked hard for years to change her image from the other woman to a respected queen. Now, outside forces like her brother-in-law, her stepson's ambitions, and the global reaction to Epstein threaten to undo her progress. The key question is whether she has the support and strength to withstand these challenges. The man who is already king in everything but name, Prince William, 43, has spent the last year making a clear transition from the heir to the throne to what some people at the palace now call a shadow king. While his official titles have not changed and the paperwork is still the same, things are different behind the scenes. William now takes charge of almost all major ceremonies and state dinners. He represented King Charles at the COP30 World Leaders Summit. In March 2026, he and Catherine welcomed Nigeria's President and First Lady during a state visit, greeting them at the Fairmont Hotel in Windsor, and taking part in the carriage procession to Windsor Castle. Observers noted that the couple has now received leaders from France, Germany, the United States, and Nigeria in their broader diplomatic roles. A reporter pointed out that the Princess of Wales has often taken a central role at these occasions, sitting beside visiting heads of state, a role that Queen Camilla previously held. William is becoming more serious, and we are starting to see what kind of monarch he will be. The palace is actively showing him in a strong and leading way, said an anonymous palace source, according to Us Weekly from late 2025. However, William's rise has not come without challenges. His tough stance on issues involving Prince Andrew, including his insistence that Camilla end ties with Sarah Ferguson, and his aggressive moves to strip his uncle of protections, has sparked controversy. Charles is still the king, and he has the final say, one insider remarked. Some believe it's not William's place to make such strong demands. This gives the impression that the crown already belongs to him, even though it does not. The ongoing tension between what is official and what is happening behind the scenes highlights the current situation in the British monarchy. William is getting ready for a role that will shape a generation. The choices he makes now, whom he supports, whom he distances himself from, and what he stands for, are setting the stage for a reign that could last 40 years or more. Observers say they already see the type of king he will be: focused, pragmatic, and very clear about his goals, why the public cannot forgive, and why it matters more than ever now. To understand why Camilla's current crisis is significant, we need to go back to 1989. That year, an amateur radio enthusiast secretly recorded a conversation between Prince Charles and his then-mistress, Camilla Parker Bowles. The recording remained hidden for 4 years. Then, on January 17, 1993, just a month after Charles and Diana announced their separation, it was leaked to the tabloids. This scandal became known as Camilla-gate or Tampon-gate. The conversation was explicit and embarrassing. More importantly, it made clear the nature of Charles and Camilla's relationship while he was still married to Diana. The public, which had loved Diana fiercely, turned against Camilla just as strongly. Royal author Robert Lacey noted that this moment was one that young Princes William and Harry could not ignore. It was a deeply embarrassing moment for the entire family. Historian Tina Brown stated, "The brutal exposure ended any mystique around the status of royal mistress and made it sound sordid." Diana's powerful words in her 1995 interview, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded," have stuck with the public for 30 years. According to polling data, they still resonate. Newsweek's polling found that the baby boomer generation, who lived through the Diana years, largely drove the decline in Camilla's approval ratings, giving her a net rating of -24. YouGov data from September 2024 showed Camilla had improved in Britain, reaching 49% positive sentiment, up from a low of 40% in 2019. However, this progress is now under threat. In light of the Epstein crisis, her silence on victims, and growing questions about royal complicity, old narratives are resurfacing. Camilla, who worked hard to shed the label of the other woman, now risks being redefined as a figure of silence during a critical moment. The 3 futures facing the British crown. This situation around the British monarchy presents 3 possible futures, and which one happens depends on private decisions made behind palace doors. The first future is formal abdication. Senior royal insiders have told Rob Shooter on his Substack that King Charles might step down and hand over the throne to William as early as this summer. One source said, "King Charles is going to step down due to his health." While the IB Times pointed out that no formal steps or palace confirmation exist, the reporting gives this possibility more credibility than it had 6 months ago. A former palace aide noted, "The monarchy survives because it adapts before it has to. If there's a handover, it won't feel like surrender. It will feel inevitable." The second future is a shadow regency. In this case, Charles wouldn't formally abdicate, but he would gradually cede daily responsibilities to William while the palace handled public appearances. Many insiders believe this is the path Charles prefers. It allows him to stay king in name while recognizing his physical and political limits. The third future involves survival through scandal. The British monarchy has endured many challenges: abdications, divorces, Camilla-gate, Squidgy-gate, Princess Diana's death, Harry and Meghan stepping back, and now the Andrew Epstein situation. Royal correspondent Jenny Bond suggests preparing for the future by focusing on current roles. There is a scenario where Charles recovers. The Epstein trial proceeds without further palace implications. Camilla improves her image through her advocacy work, and the transition to William takes place gradually over the years. What makes this moment unique is the mix of crises: a sick king, an arrested royal, a queen facing difficult choices, and an heir acting as the de facto king. Public approval of the monarchy has dipped below 50% for the first time in living memory. The monarchy has survived many challenges, but rarely all at once. The events of the next 12 months will shape the crown for years to come. The world is watching, and important choices are being made behind palace walls that have held secrets for over 1,000 years. What you see happening now is history unfolding in real time. King Charles is trying to shape the last part of his reign. Queen Camilla is striving to maintain her position. Prince William is getting ready for a crown that might come sooner than expected. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Charles will step down? Can Camilla endure these challenges? And don't forget to subscribe. This story isn't over yet.